Welcome to the Coach's Corner. Coach Clarence is an entrepreneur, financial expert, and passionate about helping people build and market their business. He has a creative flair for thinking outside the box and is always looking for the positive side of life. Now, here's Coach Clarence.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back. This is your host, Coach Clarence, and this is Fit Over 40. And I have a special guest, Cathlene Miner, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Miss Miner, and I'll have her tell you her story. She is a mother of four, a dedicated wife, and an adoring grandmother, fondly known as C. I'm going to ask about that. She has three wonderful granddaughters beyond her family life. She's a woman of many talents and aspirations. We're going to find out. And she is a woman as a tech entrepreneur, and she's a founder of a nonprofit, which I think is admirable. She's embraced a new and exciting direction since she turned 50. We were just talking about some directions that happen after 50. A lot of it has to do with your sight. She's passionate. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to let her tell her story. Thanks for being on, Cathlene, and tell everybody who you are and how you got here.
Well, my name is Cathlene Miner, and just like you said, I am a mom of four, a grandmother to three. I worked in the medical field actually for 13 years. Started when I was 18 and worked my way up. That was before HIPAA and all the other things. So they just trained me how to do everything. And I was the youngest supervisor that Mayo Clinic ever had. So I was really proud of that because, you know, the work ethics. I mean, I know we talked about our age, like we're just going to get it done. We've got a goal and it's going to happen no matter how, you know, we're just going to keep working till it happens. So that was my life then. I was pregnant at 19, so I became a mom very young. I was married, got divorced, so then I was a single mom of two kids. And that's when I really started getting into fitness. So that's what led me there. Then throughout my fitness journey and having my own fitness business, I became a stay-at-home mom, and I was a stay-at-home mom for over 20 years. Like, I know the time flew by because I got remarried, which was great, and had two more children. And I wanted to stay home, but I thought I wanted to work. But honestly, it just made sense for me to stay home. And I'm so glad that I did. But I did that for over 20 years because my oldest is 32 and my youngest is 18. So I've got a really big spread. So you can be at home with kids for that long. Yeah. Anyway, throughout that time, I had my own concierge fitness business where I would go to people's houses. And the people who didn't want to go to the gym, or the older people, which sometimes I think, gosh, now I'm one of those older people that I used to go to their houses and they didn't want to go to the gym, and they also wanted functional fitness, you know, the things like I want to be able to get up and down easily. I want to be able to keep up with everybody else. So, I mean, I'm kind of giving you a really brief summary, and then we'll just dive into whatever you want to dive into. I did start a nonprofit in 2017 to help domestic abuse survivors and their children. And we do that on a global scale now, which is absolutely amazing. We've got projects going over in Kenya, which I'm so proud of. We had another tank launch this morning. We are doing rainwater harvesting tanks in the rural schools over there, and also getting long-term sustainability. And now I am the co-founder of two tech startups at the age of 52. Honestly, if you'd have asked me that 3 years ago, I would have said, I have no idea what you're talking about because I don't like tech. Like, I didn't think I was a tech person at all. So
Fascinating. I'll definitely ask you about that. So just from what I heard, 20 years of being a stay-at-home mom, how do you manage it all? How do you keep it sane?
You know what? Some days I was not sane. And it's so funny that you use that word because I just did a workshop called Sane and Strong. Like, how do you remain sane and strong throughout that time? For me personally, I'm a woman, so I know what that's like. I can't really speak for the men and the dads, but I can speak for a mom and a stay-at-home mom. And, from going from being a supervisor and having 30 plus employees at a time to being the mom of four kids, like the emotional attachment is so different. So you're emotionally exhausted and physically exhausted because I couldn't go sit in my car. on my lunch hour, go for a walk and clear my head. I can't leave people alone by themselves when they're that little. So I don't, it was really about making sure that I had my routine and I stuck with my non-negotiables, I called it, which is what I personally do in the morning. It includes my getting my body moving and fitness.
What's your morning routine? Share.
So my morning routine, the minute I open my eyes, I think and visualize 5 things I'm grateful for. I've been doing that now for about 15 years. And when the cell phones came out, because I can say that like the smartphones, I'm that old that we didn't have that kind of thing. I was pretty excited because my phone is on mute, except for my favorites, which are my 4 kids in case somebody calls in the middle of the night. But they have the snooze button. The snooze button's 9 minutes. Mine's 9 minutes. So that's just in case while I'm visualizing the things I'm grateful for, I fall back asleep, I can get right back up. So it's a great thing to have a snooze button for that. So I get up at 4 a.m. I get up, I do that, then I come out to my gym. So I have a gym at home, and I've kind of just gathered that throughout the years. I mean, even when I was a single mom of 2 kids, in my living room, I had a punching bag and I had some weights. Like I always had a little section for myself for the times I couldn't get to the gym. So I come out, I do some journaling, which is basically, for me, it's different every day, but I work on myself for about 5 or 10 minutes mentally. And then I start my workout. And that's my morning routine. And to me, it's a non-negotiable. So even when I'm on vacation, I don't even call it vacation now that I've gotten older. I just call it a way of life. I'm going to travel sometimes. But when I'm away from home, I do the same thing. First thing I do, whether it's a bed and breakfast or whether it's an Airbnb or a hotel, is when I go in, I scout out, where am I going in the morning? Where can I find this piece of space? And sometimes it's the bathroom. I mean, I can do, you're a fitness guy. You don't need much space.
No.
To do a hit or just to get moving.
Yeah.
So that's my morning routine.
So you seem pretty structured. Where did you develop that structure, and why is that so important?
It's so important to me because I knew that the times I didn't have structure, like when I was younger, I'm pretty much a structured person. I can't say that I didn't for a long time. I think that's just ingrained in me. But the times I've let it go, I'm going to sleep in and I'm just going to eat whatever. And I never felt good. I just never felt good.
Thanks.
So why continue something when it doesn't make me feel good? Same thing with eating, same thing with, I haven't had a sip of alcohol since I was 25. Not that I used to drink a lot, but I don't like the way it makes me feel. Sure. So that's when I became structured. So to some people, it's pretty boring. Like my life is probably boring to most people because I don't go out to dinner much. I pretty much stick to the same routine. Now I like to have fun and I travel, but I like to stick with my plain things.
I love it. Okay, so you started two tech companies late in life. Why, first of all, and how did that come about?
So I'll tell you how it started, which was kind of funny in a way. So throughout the years too, I've also invested in things, in real estate and stuff like that. With my husband and I have done those types of things. Well, he and a friend of his, a developer, had come together to develop an app. Cool. So I'm just sitting on the sideline doing my own thing still, just listening to all of this. And then they had just kind of gotten started on it. And we're talking about 2 people that aren't on social media. Mm-hmm. So I was like, that's not going to work. I'm not understanding where you guys are coming from here. So long story short, I ended up taking that over. And a friend of mine who we had already been working on a business platform for business entrepreneurs to be able to get their message out there without having a ton of followers, right? So what this has turned into is it's an app called ZZATM, ZZATM, and it has turned into a social site with a blogging component. So our blogging component has huge organic SEO reach, which I'm super proud of. And the things that I've learned, like I've even written code now, like really, I know. And when I see the picture show up and I can click that picture and it goes to a link, like I'm like having a party inside because I didn't think I could ever do anything like this. So that's how it started. And then we ended up with another site connected to that called ZZATM, F-A-N-Z. Now that is a basic, a site where people can monetize, and it's not, I don't know if you've heard of like OnlyFans. They've got, it's a lot of adult content, even though it's not just that, but that's what it's known for. This one, you can make money, the percentages are higher, but it's really for mainstream. It's for podcasters. It's for, people who are showing how to do makeup or who are teaching how to cook or whatever. That's what the platform is for. And how we set ourselves apart is we don't just show the top 1%. So everybody is evenly distributed. So no matter whether you have 1 follower or you have 1 million, it doesn't matter. You're not gonna, the people right now on almost all social media sites, the top people that you're seeing all the time are the ones that have the most followers, which doesn't give the other people a chance because there's so many people that have such great information out there. So the partner that I'm with, she is the founder of literally the world's largest women's networking group called Moms in Business. So between what she knows and what I know, and she has 6 kids, I have 4. Between us, we do the whole mom thing, but we're also looking at it as a business venture, business entrepreneurs, people that are trying to get their word out there. So that's how that got going. And now it can be a full-time job, I'm not gonna lie, just being in this space. And the other one is already completed, but we are launching it in a few months. And that is for kids. And that is a kids creator site. So these kids can get on there. Now, right now, like for instance, YouTube, you put things on YouTube, you have to click a box. Is this for kids? Is this not for kids? That's it. Well, what's happening, I mean, I've got 3 granddaughters and I'm seeing this. When my kids were younger, there wasn't much YouTube watching. But in the middle of these videos, things are popping up that are totally not age appropriate. Okay. And then the kids are asking, what is this? What is that? And it could be anything from something sexual to something drug related to something just not appropriate for them to know right now, to a scary movie. I mean, it could be anything. So what this does is it's a very, very monitored. So it's a 17 and under site. The parents like to say this because they have to hold up their ID, take a picture with their child. That has to be the child who's doing the video. And also our users are verified. The other thing is any comments, things like that, the parents get access to, meaning it can go to them. I really feel very passionate about kids being safe online. And not to go into the whole thing because we'd be here for a while. It's a great conversation at some point, but the social media for kids being safe. One of my children, one of my younger 2, a couple years ago, 3 or 4 years ago now, I started noticing some things that were different. They weren't acting the same, hanging out with different people. Now I'm a phone checker. I am a phone checker. My kids know I have the passwords. I will check your phone. They have to be downstairs by 10 p.m. and I will randomly check the phone. So I didn't try to hide it. And well, I always check the phones. Never saw anything, but I was like, I'm missing something. I gotta be missing something. So things went really wrong. We ended up being okay, but this really went down a bad path. Hospital stay for a month, and it was really a lot. But I got a hold of that phone and the things I saw on that phone that these kids are seeing, and these aren't that these are bad kids. This stuff's being fed to them, right?
Absolutely. So, yes.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying absolutely. It's being fed. Being in this business, if you click on some or you show an interest in something, they're going to feed it to you. The algorithm just does that,
It does. So like if I search for a white crop top, it's probably going to assume that I am a girl, and it's going to assume that I'm probably preteen or teenager. So guess what's going to start coming to me? So I'm seeing things like how if you feel down, this is what you can do to harm yourself and hide it from your parents. To things about over-counter drugs, and this is a competition. Let's see who can take the most. Things that I saw and that we dealt with, and I was just amazed. So how I found it, I was like, a parent is better than the FBI when we're trying to find something. I mean, you know that, right? So behind the icons on the phone are different apps. I did not know that you can hide apps behind apps.
Yes.
Yes. I did not know that. I did not know. I'm looking at the phone like, okay, I'm doing my thing. I'm not finding much here. Behind the camera app is TikTok. Behind this one is Snapchat. Behind all the things. And so educating parents on things like this, and also reminding parents that there's a time for privacy, but they don't need your privacy. They need your protection. They need you to be on them and look for this stuff because, like you just said, it's being fed to them. So it's not like they're going out looking. You and I, when we were younger, we either had to be told something about something to know about it, or see it in a magazine if we could get a hold of it, or see something on TV, which they weren't putting that stuff on TV. So we just didn't have access. Right. And now the access is unlimited. My kids didn't get a phone until high school, but I'll tell you, I even think that's too early. I think it's too early sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I was in the room today speaking, and 100% of the kids had phones. And I remember getting my first phone. I don't think I had a phone until I was like 16, maybe, you know. Well, then again, that was in the Stone Age when we had.
Wait a minute, I know we got to go back with that one because I think I was like in my 20s. I
had a big brick. So, I mean, and we weren't doing this on the brick. It was like necessary calls, and that's it.
Carried in a bag.
Carried, yeah, exactly. So, you're raising children. What is that like for you as an adult? I know you talked about the phone a little bit, but you getting to your 50s, which is an honor to do. I remember being young thinking, oh man, that's old. And what are you telling children, your children specifically these days, with everything that's going on in the world? Like you alluded to, things that are on the phone, things that are harmful. You have predators. Everybody's doing something. There's an angle to everything. So how are you advising your children so they are aware of what's going on?
Yeah, well, number one is connect with people. Stay connected with people. I know you have to search for things on the internet. I know, and also don't take everything as fact. It's not factual. And that's part of the issue that we're seeing with kids these days. The psychiatrists, psychologists, all the studies that are being done, the brain's not fully developed until a later age now. And it's all coming back down to the instant gratification, because there's such instant gratification that everybody gets from when you and I had to go find the encyclopedia or go ask somebody a question and research and find an answer. It's right there. But the thing is, I remind my kids and all the kids that I deal with is you can't take that as fact. You don't know that that's fact. I was talking to somebody earlier who said that they have some people that work for them in their 20s. And I said, where do you get your factual information? And they said, oh, influencers like on TikTok and Instagram.
Sad but true.
Yeah.
Sad but true.
I can have a personal connection with people. Absolutely nothing can take that away from you once you learn that. And you still need to have that connection. And also don't take everything at face value. I mean, when you see an answer to something, just search a little bit more. Really double, triple check that work to make sure that it's really what's going on. And also reminding people that what you see is not always what you get when you're seeing this stuff online.
Part of it too is it's targeted media. If you have a bias towards something or you have a belief, it's a lot easier for them to feed you things that support that belief. You know, you see it in politics, you see it in, you know, and again, your devices know if you click on, so let's just use politics. You click on something and you start liking it, or you click on a few things. Now they start running all these things to you. They're not, filtering it out. And we know clicks and likes get you revenue. So it's a business at the end of the day. And I was speaking today, telling people, one of the biggest things you can do is to research. When we were younger, we didn't have all the tools. I mean, you can search any topic within 2 seconds, just by a browser search. We had the encyclopedia, we had to ask, we had to, go get the paper and just go to the library. Now the library is in your hand, but are you using it? It's good and bad, like you spoke to earlier.
Yeah.
And we have to be very mindful of what's being fed to our children.
Yeah, we have to be. And also reminding adults. I mean, I know some adults that still, they kind of get sucked into the same thing. And that was one of the things that we had in mind when we're doing the ZZATM social site, is there is no algorithm as far as you're going to be picked up. Like, we literally left that out for a reason, because we're sick of it. We're sick of it. So, I mean, you can call it old school, but you know what? You're going to see the people that you follow.
Right.
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 There's ads that are on the side, but they're rotated. They're not targeted ads. They're just there, and you're going to see it, whether that's what you like or that's what you don't like. You might start to like it. I don't know. Maybe you'll start to like strawberry cake. You know, I mean, you never know.
So you have advertisers who pay to be on your site?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. That's good. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. And same with ZZFans. So ZZFans is now getting going. So now we're getting advertisers on there. And it's been such a whole learning curve, right? Like it's how many years ago? Gosh, because time is flying by. But when I first started online, I want to say it was like 2015 or something, 2016. I don't know. Although I say that, but you want to know what? When I look back, remember Skype?
Yes. Yes. Is that still on computers? I think it still is.
Good. So it was probably about 2005. I lived in North Carolina because we moved out of Florida for a little while, and I was up there. And I would get up at 5 a.m, or that's when my class would be. I'd get up still at 4, but I would teach on Skype to people all over the world, fitness. And I thought I was like cutting edge. It was really cool. I didn't really think much about it, but I thought this is really cool. And so I guess when I say I went online, I mean, I've actually been doing this a long time, but it was with Skype. And it's so funny because I have like these pictures that I took with my camera of the screen on Skype, and I can still, I mean, it's so cool. But I'm getting what I think was when I started to first go online, I really didn't know much about anything. I didn't know how social media worked. I really didn't. And I figured that nobody else knew either. And I was wrong. So some of the stuff that I learned over time is basically too, because I was taking courses and classes and workshops trying to learn, like, do you do a Facebook Live, and how do you do this, and how do you do that? So it's amazing how far we've come. And I think in being in our 50s, we're pretty darn good. I think we're doing a really good job.
I agree. So you started a nonprofit. Tell me about that nonprofit.
So I started this nonprofit because my mom grew up in a very abusive home. And the reason why I know about this is because when I was younger, we lived across the street from my grandparents. Now, my mom was a part of a big family, and my grandfather not only abused my grandmother, but all of the kids. And I learned as I got a little bit older that the reason why we lived across the street was so that my mom could help take care of everybody else that was still in the house, because she had siblings that were mine and my sister's age. And I know she tried to keep us from it, but when her younger siblings would run across the street and say, Debbie, I need you to come over. You know, I mean, they would come over, the siblings, and we kind of figured out what's going on, because we were like, we don't live this way over here. Like, something's not right. So it always just stuck with me as to why does she stay? I don't understand why my grandmother stayed. I don't understand why anybody stays. So it just stuck with me. And my grandmother passed away now over 35 years ago from a brain injury. And I mean, I just think you can only get hit so many times. I mean, she stood like 4'11". He was 6'5". I mean, it's just, you know, I mean, it is what it is. But she always carried her purse. Like, that's what she always took with her. So I went and got certified to be a domestic abuse advocate in 2016. I still had that lingering question in my head. And what I found out first and foremost is there's no one reason. It's all about power and control. It's about manipulation. Like, there is no one reason, but people are so manipulated in their self-perception, which led me, the book that I wrote because of myself, actually we use as a base in this organization, because you either go into an abusive relationship with a low self-perception, what you think and feel about yourself, or you come out with one. Nobody comes out feeling great about themselves. So we started with the handbags, filling them with necessities and opening up that conversation and donating those to shelters or women getting back on their feet, or men. We help men as well, but statistically it's women, and it's really the women that will come forward. Most of the men, they won't talk about it. But we started with that, and now it's just grown so much more. So that was in 2017 that we started the organization, and now we are global. So we are in many different countries. We're in the US, Canada, Ireland, Northern Ireland, the United Kingdom, the Caribbean, and Kenya.
Wow.
We're in all those places. And our goal is for safety, number one, wellness, health, and long-term sustainability. So we've got to get the long-term sustainability and a healthy self-perception so that they don't go back, not only to the same person, but repeat that situation, right? Feel good about themselves, that they can say, you know what, that doesn't feel right. I'm out. I'm not even going to go there. So it is really grown. It's amazing. We just launched, like I said, our 13th water tank this morning in Kenya, and that's providing long-term sustainability there, right? So with long-term sustainability in each area is different depending on where you live. Can you still hear me okay?
Oh yeah, you're great. Everything sounds good.
Depending on where you live and everything like that really makes a difference as far as what is long-term sustainability. How do you get a job? What do you do? And so these are the things that we do. We have some programs, we have counseling available, but this is the difference between what we do and a lot of other organizations, but we need them all. We love to collaborate, but is that we don't look back very often because we're not going there. We look forward. Like, what are your biggest dreams? What would you do if you could do anything, and how do we get you there? That's what we're focused on. And that's where the long-term sustainability comes in, because you have to have that. You have to have that.
So we've been talking a lot about embracing losses, or as we say, embrace the L's. What are some losses you had in your path to where you are now? And if you could do something or tell a younger version of yourself something, what would that be?
You know, as far as losses go, I guess there's so many, right? That we can all.
And when I say losses, I'm not talking about the extreme, like someone passed away. I mean, like business losses, personal relationships, business deals, anything that would be considered a loss.
Right. I mean, I think for me, the first thing that comes up, just because I was a stay-at-home mom for so long, is that there was a time I really thought I lost myself. Like, I really did. I felt depressed. I felt down. I felt like, I mean, because if you looked around though from the outside, I had everything, right? I had a great place to live, husband with a great job, healthy kids. I mean, it was, you know, the perfect kind of, what do you have to be down about? But I really lost that connection with myself, because I didn't allow myself, even though I had my morning routine, I started feeling my morning routine even becoming rushed. Like, I've got to hurry up and do this because I have to take care of all these other people. So I think what I would say about that, though, is that we do have to really remember that we are our own person. And we do have to make sure that we take that time for ourselves. It's that old saying, if you can't pour from an empty cup, like, you really can't. Like, I don't feel like mine has to be overflowing for me to be able to pour and help anybody else. Like, it really does at this point in my life. And I wish I would have known that sooner. I wish I would have paid attention to what I thought about myself sooner than all the years that it took me. But I will say, even with self-perception, it takes about 5 to 6 months for the outside world to start telling you what you think about yourself again. So it's not like you do this stuff one time and you're done. And that's why even my own book, I do every 5 to 6 months. I mean, you have to keep doing this stuff. But like we talk about the gym, you can't go to the gym for 2 weeks and be like, okay, I'm done. I'm out. We'll never have to do that again. I mean, we know how that does not work. So that's what I would tell myself and other people, to really pay attention about what you think and feel about yourself. And also, what are you taking in that other people are saying? Like, is it true? Probably has no truth to it.
So I would assume there are a lot of women who are in that situation and start to feel that way. What are some advice you could share to help a person who's a stay-at-home mom? And I know some stay-at-home dads that start to feel resentment. Maybe the spouse is making money and they feel like, hey, I'm not living my best life. What are some things you could share that maybe someone who might be listening who is in that same boat?
So I would say there's a couple of different things. And when you brought up money, I mean, I'm going to talk about that for a minute, although that's kind of separate, but not really. So for me personally, excuse me, I went from working full-time, even though when I was a single mom, I was, you know, having a hard time making ends meet, but I did it all by myself, and I felt really great about it. And then when I stopped working, I wasn't bringing in a paycheck anymore. And I felt like, oh my gosh, like, it was really hard. I felt like I didn't give much to the relationship at that point. Now, mind you, we're basing it now on money. which really isn't the big picture here. And that's what I mean. We get into our own heads and start thinking, oh, well, if I'm not making money. Now, as far as my relationship goes, and I would think most people that are stay-at-home moms or dads, they already have that agreement of the money is our money. Like, it's our money, right? It's big pot, and you get it and I get it, whether you're bringing the paycheck or not, it's there. But it was a whole mindset thing. It was a mindset thing for me to let that go. But I kind of laugh about it now because I know some stay-at-home moms and dads. And I'm like, you know what, once you get used to it, it's really easy. It's really easy to say, oh, that is my money too. I think I am going to go do this and I am going to go do that. So it is hard at first, but you also are reminding us that we're all doing this, especially if you're a stay-at-home parent. If you're a stay-at-home parent, I'm assuming that you probably have two parents at home, two adults that are working together for a family. Yeah. Typically, you have to have money coming in from somewhere. And if that's the case, there's been an agreement and it's a team. This is a whole team effort, right? So I know for me, I don't even like to cook. I've been cooking now for 32 years. I don't like to cook. Now, I will bake you anything you want because I love to bake. I used to say, can we just have dessert for dinner? But I cook and I find easy ways to cook. I'm not making extravagant meals. But the thing is I knew that I kind of got used to the fact that that's my responsibility. That's part of my job here. And my husband's going out to work every day, leaving at 5 in the morning and getting back at 5 at night. And then I think it's just changing our mindset on those things, because even if you're the working person, I think us stay-at-home parents have to remember that working person isn't having a gang old happy time either every single day while they're away from home. I mean, my husband used to say, if we could trade places, I would. The thing is, though, I wouldn't have made as much as him, so it wouldn't have worked. He would have worked anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. It's wage issues.
So,
right, so go ahead. I'm sorry. I interrupted. Go ahead.
I think you just have to really I always think, say it like this. Our heads are a big jumble, especially when we're in those situations where we feel down and all this. And we have to separate out the jumble, because it's all really bad when you put it all together, because you take out those one or two things that are bad, they take over all the good things. But we've got to if we separate it out, we can see that, there is more good things than there are not so good things. Even if you've got kids and the kids are healthy, I mean, oh my gosh, that is a blessing in itself. Consider yourself very grateful for that.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so you are in your 50s, your career, you've got a nonprofit, you're busy. Mm-hmm. Someone sitting home is like, how does she do it? How is she figuring all that stuff out? You got a husband, there's a responsibility there of, because you could be so busy that the other people in your life start to not matter, or not on purpose, but you could be so wrapped up in what you're doing and you start neglecting the time you need to spend with them. I guess my main question with this, how do you balance it all out? And do you ever get overwhelmed where you have to go, wait a minute?
Mm-hmm. I have in my past. Absolutely. Absolutely. I have. And I can remember that I felt like I was really good at separating it all out, believe it or not, once I got the hang of having 4 kids and running here and there. And I was really good at separating it out. And then when I did start the nonprofit and my younger 2 were teenagers, I'm just going to give you an example of when I felt overwhelmed, and you'll see why I'm going. And I thought, okay, so I'm homeschooling my 2 younger kids at the time, right? They were high school age. And I had to get a tutor, because once they get to a certain age, I just can't teach them anymore. So I did that, but I was so busy doing all the stuff I really believe this, the stuff that happened with one of my kids when I was talking about with the phone and how it was a really bad situation. I was around, but I wasn't around, right? We were all home, but I wasn't there. I was too busy doing everything else that I thought I needed to do. And when all of that happened, I literally was like, wow, like here I am home even, and my kids are home. I wasn't even sending them away to school. They were being homeschooled. And I didn't feel present. And so I really feel like that led to a lot of things falling apart. Because if I had been on it more, now maybe not, but all I'm saying is we've got to really live in the moment. And we hear that all the time. But when you go through something like that and you're like, you know, usually think, oh, well, they're always at work. They don't even know what's going on with their kids, or that was not the case. That was not the case. I think about it now. I'm sitting at the kitchen at the island and the tutors in the dining room with the kids. Like, we are all right there. So I have gotten overwhelmed. And I got really sucked into thinking I had to do everything, and you don't. You don't. So prioritizing. So that's when prioritizing came back in, and me realizing and remembering how important it was. If somebody's not going to be hurt or detrimentally affect their life, if I don't do something right this second, it's going to have to wait.
I love that. Yeah.
Because our family we have to come first, and then our family will come. And that is the way it has to be.
Yeah. Can't pour from a full cup. I mean, you can't have a full cup and try to get more. You just can't. You have to make sure there's room. All right. So these are a couple quick personality questions. Burpees or mountain climbers?
Burpees.
Really? You must be from another planet. Most people don't never say burpees. They say, oh, I hate burpees.
You know why? I love the momentum of jumping up. I like to feel like I'm really bouncing. I don't know. It's just.
I love that. Okay. Sweet potatoes or regular potatoes?
See, if you'd asked me that 10 years ago, because I can't have either one. But if I had to go with flavor, I would probably say sweet potatoes.
Why can't you have sweet potatoes? Or is
that? Let me just tell you. It's a whole other conversation we could have. But I've always had hypoglycemia.
Okay.
But as I got older, I realized I actually have something called reactive hypoglycemia. And it reacts to foods. So it's kind of like, you can describe it as the opposite of diabetes. So my blood sugar drops if I eat carbs, because it lets out too much insulin.
I understand.
I'll tell you, that has been a really big difference, and it has affected the way I work out, the way I eat, the way I live, like everything.
Gotcha. Okay, so I always ask people that. It's 2024. What is your personal goal and what is a business goal for you?
My personal goal is to keep up my morning routine, which I absolutely feel very, very excited about, and keep taking so this is something I started doing after I turned 50. I told myself after I turned 50, I always get so tired around 1 o'clock. So I'm like, why am I not laying my head down? Like, why am I not laying my head down? So in the summer, I get in the pool every day at 12:30 on a float. And I close my eyes and I set my timer for 30 minutes, and literally I will be asleep. I will be asleep. My kids, I remember sometimes they're in college now, but the first summer I did that because they walk, they're like, so this is what this has come to, huh? I'm like, absolutely. Absolutely. I've been waiting years to do this. So taking my little naps, like seriously, like why not take a quick power nap if you can? What am I forcing myself to keep moving for?
I do that 5 or 6 times a week. You have to. I've embraced that. Yes. Also too from getting up so early, but I try to balance it out with the extra sleep. All right. What's the professional goal?
My professional goal is to have the kids site going and up and running, and same with these other ones, just not on autopilot, but will always take work, but to grow them as much as I can, because we put a lot of time and effort into them. And that is a business goal of mine, to get that going.
So when people go to your website, what can they find, and what do you do for folks when they go to your website?
Well, right now on my website, Cathlene Miner, I have the links to the other things. So I've got Hopeful Handbags, so you can go there and find out more on that site. You can go to the app ZZATM, ZZFan, like you can go to those and find out more about them. You know, because the things that I'm doing right now, as far as like personal training and things to help other people, I'm just doing free workshops right now. And I'm actually having them on ZZ Fans when I do them, because I think it's fun. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting. It's obvious you're very fit. And I didn't want to talk about that because I want you to talk about you and share you, because people buy you. And then I knew just from looking at your information before we jumped on, there was so much more to you than exercise. And I know that's a big part of what you do, but I wanted people to hear your story, being a mom and, stay home mom, because a lot of women, and just because mostly I have mostly 90% women. I don't know how that turned out, but that's just what it is. A lot of them are stay-at-home moms. A lot of them have been grinding for years, and now the kids are gone, and they're looking for other opportunities. So I'm trying to have people like you on who've done other things and who are passionate about things and help them ignite their passion. And people say, "What should I do? I don't know what to do." Something you're passionate about. How you get rich is you solve a problem. That's how you get rich. You solve a problem that most people have, you'll make a lot of money. So yeah, you definitely have this great story. Tell me about C.
Oh, well, okay. Well, it's really pretty simple. I love the ocean. We live by the ocean. I love the sea. And when my mom's called Mama, their kids, the grandkids already have two grandmas and grandpas. So I just went with C. So it's SEA, and they call me C. And now it's stuck because I've got three grandkids now. The oldest is 8, so 8,
Nice.
6, and 3. And they all call me C, so I guess that's my name. So that's how it's stuck, and I love it. I love it. You know what? These days, if you're a grandparent, you can pick whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm a grandfather. 2 years going now. Actually, 3 now. It's going.
Congratulations. What do they call you?
Papa.
See, you can be called Papa. You can be called Ocean. I mean, you can be called whatever you want at this point.
Yeah, it's interesting because I posted a picture on Facebook of me when I was probably maybe 10 or 11, and I had really big ears. I didn't grow into them at the time, and my son's wife went on and said, "That's where he gets his ears from," talking about her son. I'm like, yeah, that's one of our things. The good news is he can look forward and go, I can actually pass these ears up. So yeah. So Cathlene, where can people find you and discover more about your journey and your services and what you do?
Yes, just the easiest thing is to go to CathleenMiner.com, and all the links are there. And then
that's Cathlene with a C, folks, just in case.
Totally
and don't worry, her information will be in the show notes, so you'll be able to find it.
Spelled differently. My last name is spelled differently. But then again, that's how I can have. When I went to get my Gmail at Cathlene Minor at Gmail, it was pretty easy. Nobody has the spelling.
Who's also affectionately known as C to the grandchildren. So if you see it at the store, you might say, "Hey, C," and she might just turn around.
I will turn around. I will. It's like that thing when you're in the store, I'm like, "Mom," and everybody's looking like, that sounds like my kid.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, so thank you for being on today, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week, and we'll be back. Remember, stay healthy, be you, and do something that will change the world, and you'll make history. Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you like videos like these and you want more information, please hit the subscribe button, hit that like button. Good for the algorithm, keeps us relevant, keeps us in your inbox anytime a new video drops. We'll see you next time.